Hello, everybody. This is Living with the Darkness, Changeling the Dreaming Venue. Today, our scene is going to be in one of the restaurants of the Salt Bay, Nusret. The scene is in Manhattan. There is individual named William Black, uh, and the Sebastian. There's actually a table saved for William and Sebastian, and um, if Sebastian has retinue, he brought his retinue or knights. Now, like there are tables prepared for him as well. This is a very good restaurant. William is like not crazy rich, but the appearance is important, and he wants to dine well and talk well as best as he can. So he come early and he's waiting.
Yep. Sebastian doesn't bring anybody with him. He's not that stuck up. Uh, he's fine going to a restaurant alone. And it's not like it's completely isolated. So he's fine coming by himself. Um, so he'll come in just a few minutes later. He's still earlier than the appointed time, but a bit later than William. So um,
What he sees as William wearing is, William normally wears like very like it's very rare for William to wear a jacket that is not a leather jacket. But like Sebastian sees that William actually put some, he gathered his hair and he prepared himself for this meeting. Let's just say that way. He tries to be at least to look good. And when Sebastian comes in, he immediately gets up and extends a hand.
yeah, he holds his hand out to him, looking up to him because he's much taller than him. And probably looking and looking up past where where his head in his mortal seeming ends. Still looking up. There's his troll bean. Uh,
I
but
never
he extends a hand.
understood how that works. Like in real world, it's like your seeming is much bigger, but he shakes it and says, "Please, welcome, please." He has like a some etiquette, so he knows how to behave and not go like, "Yeah, fucking sit," like. He isn't like that at all. He is. It's very obvious that he is trying to be hold the etiquette, and he immediately opened the conversation after saying welcome and says, "This restaurant is. I read it in the newspaper, and there was an article about it, so I actually wanted to come here and see if the videos are true that I saw on Instagram."
Hang on, out of character. Say that again.
He basically says like, I saw this guy, I saw this place on Instagram.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but basically the he talks about the restaurant.
He nods. He's like, I've been here before. I brought Alice. It's really good.
Ah, so you maybe maybe you can give me an advice on what to eat.
Um, yeah, he nods and he gives him a few suggestions on what to eat. He probably highly recommends the steak. And says which cut and everything to get.
William will order for a steak, like, and the guy comes in to take their orders. Um, he will wait for Sebastian to order first, and then he will order because being nice, and being
Sebastian
respectful as best as he can.
Sebastian orders said steak. He's like, that sounds good. I'm gonna order that. So he goes ahead and orders the steak and some sides, whatever.
After like some like awkward silence, William immediately says, I wanted to invite you and talk because I feel there are misunderstandings. And if we don't communicate with each other, the things can be misunderstood and just grow and grow and grow into more toxic misunderstandings. So I come to tell the story of what I have lived and hear the story of what you have lived. And hopefully come to an understanding of what is going on and what happened.
He nods. Yeah, I think that is definitely a good idea. I think there have been some misunderstandings on both sides.
Um, I He takes a deep breath and like he starts and says, I when I become temporary governor, I enter to the old place of Isidore. The first actions I did was to the ban unwilling working conditions known as slavery, and I ordered an investigation in the Kiss My Shamrock, which I'm sure you heard what happened in that place. There were
He
rumors of
nods.
underground fightings. Um, the guards were given. I was given a paper by your mother, the Countess, which said that I am now the temporary governor or the Baron. He air quotes for a while, and yes, this place is. I made sure that we won't be heard by others about this. He motions the place, and like we can talk here normally. Um, there was a dame that is known by her closeness to Isidore, and she was in the freehold. Um, in the system we created, the freehold was belonging to the governor and not me to serve to society, and she was using it as a home. I told her that now there's a new system, and I want to ask how does she feels and what she wants to do. She said she wants to stay, and I said, with all the respect, that can't happen. This place isn't, a hotel anymore, or this place isn't a home anymore. It is going to be turned into something else. But I also offered her that I will talk with Baron Sebastian if she thinks that she needs to move somewhere else. Because at the time you were the only Baron who were having some, peaceful realm, as the Queens didn't have a Baron at the time. The Staten Island didn't was a governy. It's still a governy. Um, and Bronx is known as Bronx, which is a place that is filled with dark frauds. And her response was that she everybody hates her because of Isidore, and nobody would take her. I said, I don't think that's true, but maybe she can, if that's the case that she thinks, maybe she can stay in here and make up for a name for herself, work with the new system. And she started crying. So I bought, I didn't realize at the first time that she was crying for the sake of manipulating me. But then I realized the second time, and I tried to talk to her. And I told her, which there is two things you can do, which is keep crying and secondly, try to work for earning things all by herself, like with the help of those people who wants to help her. It's just the tears aren't going to help do anything because like she is a noble and she should, work for something. It's not just going to be given freely in the new system anymore. And she agreed and left, went near the governor, cried in front of her, cried in front of the governor, and asked for a job. And the governor gave the only job that he can give, or they can give. Sorry, he doesn't. He doesn't say he or she. The governor likes the term they, and he uses that term they.
Okay, that's fine.
After that, we never heard from the dame until you made the speech. And the dame threw something to the governor's face and left, saying that I would be someone in the shittiest place than being no one in here.
Like brows go up.
We actually did talk with every, which is too noble. One squire from House Duran and the dame herself. Try to talk to them. The House Duran, as you know, they have the houses and they remained, and the dame left in a very rude way, but we were trying to give her everything that we actually, anything that we can give in our power. She refused and then asked for a job herself, and that was it. Now, when it comes to the guards, Baron Sebastian, that we didn't treat them in any difference than anybody else as well. We didn't do anything to them. We were just give them a job and continue paying their payment. And as far as we know, as they told us when we asked, they were happy to stay here as they were working there. There were no sign of treating anybody bad. We made sure nobles and old nobles, including your old knight Tren, felt secure in this place because she was the Arcadian she who left her house, and those people usually get threatened by commoners. This sadly that they usually get bullied by red cap gangs and all that jazz. And I personally try to make her feel bad, and personally try to make her feel good about what she's living. She's in Fiona. She didn't fear things in the past, and now she does, which is a very hard thing to live. I tried my best. So I talked with Alice, and she told me that it was an illegal squire who told you that we were treating them badly.
He nods.
I may be many things, but I'm not a liar. I did not do that. And I'm willing to make an oath about this if you wish me to. There is an oath that, as you know, says that, as dreaming, we go with dreaming as my witness. And, I did not lie about this. And I really didn't lie about that. So it made us very, very sad when we heard your speech from a baron who supported us, who helped us gain our freedom against a tyrant. And that's why we were so shocked and angry. We really didn't. He stops. It's his time to talk now.
I was feeling like you and the rest of the council had forgotten my father's support. I made an error by leaving my own wedding early. I figured my father was there. He was the count. He could handle whatever might happen if something did. I was elated, happy. not really thinking clearly because it was my wedding day.
He nods.
So when you all started coming after me for that, it disheartened me a lot.
He nods.
And then my father died, and I didn't receive any condolences, compassion, or anything from any of you, just contempt. So you could see why maybe I turned a little bit bitter and believed what an allele had to say.
He nods. It is my mistake. That happened. I had many disagreements with your dad, but nobody deserves to die the way he died. So does my friend. As he says with a very painful way.
Maxine was my friend too.
I believe there can be many things that we can say to each other regarding you did this and you did that, and communication is extremely important. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that we shouldn't communicate.
We should communicate because lack of communication and running on anger on both sides is what caused the mess we're in right now.
And it is hurting the people we serve. He doesn't say rule, he says serve.
It
It's
is. I agree with that.
this nightmare problem is only because there's this miscommunication between two most powerful places. Alice and you know that you're handling the business at the place when Alice is trying her best to help. So does the council, and we are trying to help our people. Maybe we can continue actually being angry with each other. It's just gonna hurt the people that we have.
I would actually rather not continue being angry with each other. It's exhausting.
Exactly. I am sorry for not supporting you and you have lost your dad, and I should have been the most understanding individual at that time because I also lost my father. Now twice, with Maurice dying.
And I apologize for acting on emotion rather than logic or reason. And believing a source that was not only new to my court, but new in general to the city. I should not have done that. And I learned from it.
Maybe she was sad because the dame was also House Leo.
That could be. And the allele tend to be very supportive of each other. Most houses are, but allele especially.
It's the I'm happy that we actually talked this through, and now we come to a bit of understanding that yes, it is hurting the people, which is the most important thing to me. I don't think you don't believe my words when I said that I didn't treat anybody or mistreated anybody.
I do believe that you care about the people. If I didn't think that, I would not have thrown my support behind you in the first place.
He nods.
And I care about them too. Which is why I got so angry when I heard that you were mistreating them. Not you and specifically, but Brooklyn in general.
The the political climate is extremely different now, and I am. I don't want to. have more misunderstandings by having less communication. I think the communication between two most populated barony and the state should constantly be in communication.
I agree. We should.
And I didn't want to say this by sending a messenger to you because that would feel a bit awkward. I, as right now representing the in this decision, when I represent the Brooklyn as a whole, and we do join the alliance. We
Good.
are happy with the steps to make this county look all together, help each other, and connect our freeholds. Not the all the freeholds, but the governing freehold. It's
Mhm.
called. It has a new name after the. He says it with a smile. It has a new name after Isidore. It's called Governor's Hall.
He smiles and nods at that.
Um, is there any other problem that we should talk and try to move on and not have as a problem again? I want to make sure there is no questions or problems that is left. As I see myself as someone who usually tries to look at the future.
Just as long as we agree to stop coming after each other and work together, I think that we will be fine going forward. The Miriam has joined the alliance as well. Uh, we've spent a lot of time helping her after the fire on Staten Island.
I went there, but I couldn't find anybody. I didn't knew the freehold was.
The freehold had been burned to the ground for the most part.
Yeah, it's extremely sad. It,
Alice, Alice managed to use her arts to restore it. I was quite impressed to hear that.
she is a she's a person it is very hard to go against, and
He smiles.
she's growing a lot.
She is. I think we both are.
The
Um,
Hopefully I am as well.
he nods. You are. Change doesn't come without its trials, tribulations, conflicts. I'm sorry that we had such a big conflict, and I hope that we don't have any more like this going forward.
The I It is very hard to work against a belief that is going on for a long time. With all due respect, and normally when someone says with all due respect, it's usually comes there's an insult coming, and there is no insult this time. It is actually about who you are.
He
Um,
nods.
the she has been said to us as our righteous lords and our kings and queens. Oh, see, like he feels like William feels this very strongly, but like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know this may be an insult, but oh, see, it isn't actually. It is something very traditional troll thing to say.
Yeah, he's listening.
Now, but the she, there were like one she. 670 years ago, there was only one she. There was no Arcadian or no Autumn. And when the things were very bad, the she ran away and left us here, while some of them stuck to weather the storm with us.
Yeah, I know.
And that's not something I forget.
Me either.
The my some of the commoners now I talk, they feel like the Autumn She has built and toiled shoulder to shoulder with commoners, and that's not something that I can just ignore. My if the dreaming he it's obvious that he's picking his words not to tell him the wrong thing, because like what he may say can be seen very disrespectful to an Arcadian she.
Mm-hmm.
So he like picks his words very carefully and says, if he takes a deep breath, and then if the right to rule is divine, which I don't believe, but if let's just say it is, then the Arcadians betrayed their Arcadian, betrayed their divine duty, while the Autumn She remained. So, and like he waits for him, because like what he said is actually like very nice to an Autumn She.
Yeah. He nods. There are even some Autumn She who believe the Arcadian She don't have any right to come in and demand anything because they left all of us behind. Which I can sort of agree with. The dreaming does enforce the She as a whole as rulers of Changeling society. However, it is my belief that it's up to the She on how they choose to distribute that rule. So as long as we're still doing our jobs and supporting Changeling society, how it's ruled, the dreaming is not static. The dreaming always changes because it's based on the dreams of the mortals. And those dreams are changing. So how we rule has to change. And though those of us of the Seelie Court aren't as amenable to change as those of the Unseelie Court, we still will, especially if it's for the good of the community.
As you know, I'm a Seelie person as well, and I preached when Trin said Seelie doesn't mean tyranny. I am sad that she is now not very nice to me, but well, it happens.
I think she got swept up in a bit of the same mindset as I did. You might want to reach out to her and talk to her.
William doesn't say anything. There is he tries to keep his face straight. I mean, no, the personal disagreements is the personal disagreements. It doesn't mean that people can't work with each other.
I agree with that.
I while like there is the difference in leadership or disagreements on how things should be, the Brooklyn as a whole wasn't going to be okay with another She coming. They were very unhappy with Isidore and his court, which the court immediately left after Isidore is gone. There were a lot of we saw in the books that there were a lot of corruption, and which is extremely weird. But I say this as a guy who wants to change things to a much equal understanding. If the nobles do their job, like Count Leon, Baroness Mariposa, and like you, there won't be more democratic states appearing. It's because of the people who rules very unjustly and feels corruption in their land. We come up.
Yes, and those of us that still have a barony are not interested in corrupt ruling. We don't. We're not. We're not like Isidore.
I don't think we have a lot of Isidores left.
At least not in New York.
Exactly.
But I think that we should make it our priority that if we hear of things like that happening in other kingdoms, that we should do our best to reach out and help. Maybe
Yeah.
not making personal visits, but reaching out to the kingdoms and counties to help root out their own corruption before it festers the way it did with Baron Isidore.
It's those guys like Isidore. They're just plague. And he shakes his head. And he can continue eating his. What was the name of that? His steak.
He got a prime rib.
He just says like, "This is very delicious."
He nods and smiles. It is.
Would you like to end the scene there as they continue dining?
Sure. We
Okay.
definitely can.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, Wes, for watching. See you next time.